I don't think I have enough battery
She said, "No, I won't be doing that."
life. I need,
No,
my
honey, I won't
I
be
need
doing
my
that
voice.
today.
Shell Shock Value 1. Yeah. Got my nigga Louis on the beat. Louis on the beat. So you know it's a hit. It's gonna be a banger. And you already know who it is. It's your girl Shell Shock in this motherfucker. Shell Shock in this motherfucker. And I'm on one. I keep this shit so 100, so 1000. No time to be wasted. Feeling like I'ma make it. Need to make new faces. Left me no choice, I gotta get it. Getting dirty, getting filthy, it's my life, I gotta live it. No breaks, I ain't no missions. Coach chick in the city, when I blow, take my whole team with me, I came from the trenches, lot of haters, never sweat no nigga on these bitches. Too busy handling business, leave you out the game like you riding on the benches. Getting to the gritty, no locking, got tunnel vision. Always been smart, had an A plus in physics. Big numbers like billions, going hard like the Mo4 Pistons. Yeah. It's Shell Shock Volume 1, Shell Shock Volume 1. And I promise you won't be disappointed. You won't be disappointed. I got that real shit for you. You can bang every track on this motherfucker. Where were you when I was down and out? Don't hurt me now. I'm on my way, I'm on my way. Now I'm going straight to the top. Full speed, non-stop. I'm on my way, I'm on my way. Where was you when I was down and out? Don't hurt me now. I'm on my way, I'm on my way. They say I'm acting funny, dead. No good nigga didn't give me nothing. On my way to the top. Kyrie and Kim, I'ma gon' show you the world. Leave it all up to me, I'ma keep you so spoiled. Got $1 million plan, hope you don't get bored. My kids, who I do it for. Grind non-stop, I'm on my way to the top. Make sure my seeds prosper like I'm growing a crop. Can't let them see me down, I stay crunching the clock. Say you can walk in my shoes. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. DOE, girl, music. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Look at the drop, look at the wheel. Look at the drop, look at the wheel. Check out my swag. Look at the drip, drip, drip. Look at the drip, drip, drip. Look at the drip. Look at the drop, look at the wheel. Check out my swag. Look at the drip, drip, drip. Look at the drip, drip, drip. Look at the drip.
I know I'm the shit, and you know it too. Keep these hoes in their feelings, cause they niggas choose. Don't let your buddies gas you up, I'ma blow your fuse. Might push a nigga down if I'm in the mood. He gon' eat the cat, send him back to you. You can check my background, I've been making moves. They tell me slow it down, but I'm snapping cruise. I'm sleeping on your whole life, bitch, and I'm hitting snooze. I'm a dope girl, bitch. Copyright my swag, cause my swag on 10. I'm eating real good, you can tell I'm getting thick. I'm chasing this check, yeah, I'm tryna get rich, yeah, yeah.
Look at the drop, look at the wheel. Check out my swag. Look at the drip, drip, drip. Look at the drip, drip, drip. Look at the drip. Look at the drop, look at the wheel. Check out my swag. Look at the drip, drip, drip. Look at the drip, drip, drip. Look at the drip. Look at my life, look at my goals, look at my team. Look at my team. Look at my cars, look at my home, look at my king. Look at my king. Look at my drive, look at my hope, no looking back. Look at Trub on the grizzly, looking like she bout to snap. Look at yourself, now look at us. That look on your face saying that you mad as fuck. Look at my fans, look at my dance, look at my shoes. With your looking ass, looking like you looking to lose. Look at the news, look at your family members, ho, they looking for you. No evidence, LMPD looking for clues. I'm breaking the rules, breaking the law, looking at call. I'm my own stunt double, baby, I do it all. Look at the truck, look at the wheel. Check out my swag, look at the drip, drip, drip. Look at the drip, drip, drip. Look at the drip. Look at the truck, look at the wheel. Check out my swag, look at the drip, drip, drip. Look at the drip, drip, drip. Look at the drip.
Yeah. That is the DOE girls. So girl, Shell shocked you. And Miss Tanya, Miss Trouble. Y'all gotta check them out. Y'all gotta check me out. On February the 9th, we will be performing at the 502 Cafe for the album release of the Dope Girls. Yes! Shout out to Shell Shocked You. My poor little baby. Y'all be trying to do stuff to her, and I'm gonna have to come after y'all because that is my little baby. So how y'all doing? We got a lot to talk about. And I'm gonna try not to cuss y'all out today. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna try my best not to cuss y'all out today, and I'm gonna tell you why. Give me 1 second. Y'all know I'm on time getting online, but I ain't never ready. So I'm just trying to let y'all know I am consistent, you know. But I do appreciate you tuning in, and go ahead and share this video so that more people can come on and get mad at me, because again, I will be cussing people out. And I didn't even break a pen. See, that's crazy. But I'm gonna try to be as productive as possible. Thank you so much. I have not seen a pencil. This is a pencil. This ain't even a pencil. This is a pencil. This is a pencil. It's got like edges. This is a pencil. Can I use your pencil? Oh, fancy thing. Yes, it is. It's a pencil. Okay, I've got a pencil to work with, so. Okay, I can't see Miss Honey, but she is in the studio today, so. Again, thank y'all for tuning in. I have a lot that I want to discuss, and I have a lot of, it's kind of like a potpourri day, but it's not really a potpourri day, so I had to figure out a way, you know, the comedy in me said, I got to segue these topics because it's a lot and they're not all connected, so. Forgive me in advance if I sound like a comedian that's just looking for something for you to laugh at, because again, it's hodgepodge today. It's like a lot. So, first thing I want to address is Monique. Now, don't y'all get quiet on me, because everybody's been having opinions about Monique and the whole Netflix situation. So, you know, I wanted to chime in. Being a fellow black female comedian, I wanted to chime in, you know, and kind of do, you know, give y'all my opinion. Now, remember, the number, if you got something to say, is 384-6483. This is not a one-way conversation. If you want to rebut what I'm saying or explain a different view or a different angle, I'd be more than happy to hear it. I do ask that you wait until I get my point out, because you might not want to call in and just get rebutted down if I'm not done talking. But you can if you think you bad. But okay, so for those that don't know, comedian Monique, she's Miss Parker's Precious. She's that chick. How is everybody doing? I'm so excited today. I got a full studio of people, and I got people watching, and I'm so excited. So thank you for tuning in. Mr. Davis in the building, Alicia. Yes, him is. Hey, boo. Okay. Okay, so. There you go. So now we can get Honey in the conversation. Okay, so here we go. Now, so with Monique, what Monique is going through right now, she has asked, I guess, the community to boycott Netflix. Now, I'm seeing a lot of, who does she think she is There's Shell Shock that she's on here. Yeah, you missed Drip, honey. We have been playing the music. Yes, ma'am. But so Miss Monique, she asked for us to boycott Netflix. A lot of people feel appalled that she would ask for us to do that, which I understand. But I want to give you all a little bit of history because it's not just right now that she's asking for Netflix to be boycotted. Monique is basically, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that she is the Colin Kaepernick of Black Hollywood right now. And I need y'all to sit and think about that for a second. I consider her the Colin Kaepernick of Black Hollywood right now, of Hollywood, period. Now, and I'm going to tell you why I say that, because Monique's career was, you know, it's gone. She had like a 15-year career, and it was solidified. She had the Parkers. She was a queen of comedy. You know, she had other movies that she portrayed roles, Roscoe Jenkins. She had a lot of movies. She won a lot of Image Awards. We loved Monique. Then she got the movie Precious, and she showed us a side that we didn't even know existed in her. She showed us a serious side, and she played a role that many of us have seen before in real life. You know, it might not have been our mothers, but we knew somebody like that role. And it's very hard to depict that type of struggle and that type of hurt in a person, and she did it perfectly. You know what I'm saying? So I want y'all to understand that she did that role, and that movie had a $10 million budget. It had a $10 million budget. That's for the actors, the directors, the producers, the key grips. Total budget $10 million. They paid Monique $50,000. Out of that $10 million, Monique's check was for $50,000. And she accepted it. She had gotten roles for more than that, but she accepted it because her and Lee Daniels were close friends. So she didn't feel like she was getting shafted. She felt like she was doing a friend a favor because it was a Lee Daniels movie. So on the back end, she was supposed to receive 5% of whatever the movie netted. Now, mind you, the budget was $10 million. It grossed $55 million. And then the net after the $10 million that they spent to make the movie came down to be $37 million, meaning that they owed Monique more than $1.8 million off the back end of the movie. And to my knowledge, she's not received those funds. Now, mind you, they only paid her $50,000 to film this movie. Now, they're calling her. Now, at the time, she's got the Monique show on BET. She's on tour. And so she's got a very strenuous schedule. She's only got 2.5 days off at this time. And they just so happen to be during the same period of time that they had a French festival, movie festival. So the movie company calls Monique, and they reach her husband, and they ask her, will she fly to France and promote the movie Precious? And he, respectfully declined. They called again. And again, he respectfully declined. And the third time, they said, what is it going to take to get Monique in France to promote this movie? And they asked, is there a dollar amount attached to it? And they said, oh, no, we would never pay you to promote a movie. And so they respectfully declined. That is the difficulty that they're talking about. Now, mind you, nobody else gets those type of paychecks that are household names. Monique was absolutely a household name when she got that movie. They would have never offered Julia Roberts $50,000 to film a movie. They would have never offered Scarlett Johansson $50,000 to film a movie. Now, I did hear they offered her $5,000 to re-film a movie, which means you've already been paid for the product, but we can't use that product, so we need you to do it over, and we're going to give you a little stipend for your time. That's what that means. So don't think she did the whole movie for $5,000. She got her bigger paycheck a long time ago, and then Kevin Spacey was messing with little boys' booties, and they asked her to redo it because they didn't want him in the movie. So it's not like she didn't get a multi-million-dollar check prior to. So that $5,000 was just kind of like overtime pay or whatever, just for your time to prove a point in the Me Too movement, whatever. But I say all of that to say, if she didn't push back, now we know she got the Oscar. So not only did the movie net $47 million, was $37 million after you count the $10 million. But not only did the movie net $37 million, she didn't really get, nobody knows what happened to that $37 million because she hasn't been explained why she didn't get her back end money. Now, how long do you let somebody screw you before you say enough is enough? Grab the goddamn Vaseline. Somebody. Like, seriously. Then I'm going to keep telling you. Now, with Hollywood, that's the way Hollywood is. Now, she uses the example of Hattie McDaniel. She won an Oscar, the first black woman to win an Oscar in 1939, and she won it for Gone with the Wind. And she basically died penniless because they were mad that she won the Oscar #1. And so the roles that they gave her would not be, they're not giving her what she deserves. They're giving her what they want her to have. And the way it works in Hollywood is if you push back and your manager says, well, can you give her a little bit more? They say, no, we can just find a new actress. It's fine. There's plenty of black women that would love this role. You know what I'm saying? So that's what's happened with Monique. She's pushing back and she's like, no, I'm not going to keep accepting this. Now, mind you, I read another article on Taraji P. Henson. Now, she did the Mysterious or the Curious Mind of Benjamin Button, the Benjamin Button movie. She was in that. And for Taraji P. Henson, who had she had a portfolio. It ain't like that was her first movie. But she was actually paid 2% of what Brad Pitt was paid. What his kid was paid. The kid that played in the scenes with her that she had to take, she was paid 2% of what he was paid. Now, mind you, she doesn't know what the dollar amount is. She's accepted the role. She's hoping, she already knows that Kate Winslet and Brad Pitt have gotten, I think Brad got like $5 million and Kate got a couple of million. And, she's hoping that she's in like the middle six figures. She's not even expecting a whole million. But she's like, if I can get, 400, 500,000, that'll be pretty good. And then whatever back. When the manager called her, she was so excited. But when he called her, he was like, I'm so sorry. But they have offered you $100,000. And to add injury to insult, they said they would not be covering your travel to Louisiana for the 3 months that you were down there, and they would not be covering your hotel or a stipend for your eating. So the $100,000 that Taraji P. Henson made, she had to pay for her own hotel for 3.5 months in Louisiana, in New Orleans, where it was filmed, and she had to pay for her food, she had to pay for her travel, and any security that she might damn need because she's a freaking star. That all came out of the $100,000 that they was paying her. But that's the way they do you in Hollywood. And here's the thing, it's going to continue to be that way. Hattie McDaniel was in like 30, 50 million movies, and she died penniless. Nothing to leave her peoples. Scarlett Johansson ain't about to die penniless. Angelina Jolie not about to die penniless. And I'm going to tell you just like this. I've got one of my gift cards I'm giving away tonight. I want you to do your homework. And I want y'all to go back and tell me the last time a black woman made the top 10 actresses in Hollywood. Top 10 paid actresses in Hollywood. I want y'all to go back and look. And tell me how long it's been. Because you got actresses like Jennifer Lawrence, love her heart. Homegrown hero, but they have to make like $25 million a year. And a black woman in Hollywood would never see those numbers. So I'm here to say, well, I've got my viewers and I'm hoping y'all sharing this. Tara Crush does not want no parts of dirty ass Hollywood. Y'all can keep that shit because I'm not going to be the one that they do dirty like that. They can keep them raggedy Oscars. What Tara's going to do is produce independent films, and she's going to work with independent film directors that can pay her worth. And I will just tour with comedy. I don't want the glitz and the glamour of Hollywood because I've been to smack somebody in the face the way they disrespect us. I'm not the one. So Monique is standing up for all of us. She's saying, so don't call me. Lee Daniels, do not call me. I've been to smack you in your face, bruh. Because that was your friend and you threw her under the bus. And so when they talk about she was difficult. She was tired of being screwed with no Vaseline. Do your homework. It's all out there. And he called himself a sellout. He said in Hollywood, you see stuff, you know the stuff, and if you say stuff, you don't work no more. He said, I like working. He said, so they can call me a sellout, but I see you in the theaters. That's not the type of person that I want to be associated with. I don't like sellouts. I like people that can be true to themselves. And if it means that you can't deal with X, Y, and Z, then that just means you can't deal with X, Y, and Z. I'm going to always be true to who I am. I cried reading those stories today because it's not fair. In order to star alongside anybody of character, you have to accept whatever crumbs they want to give you. Why would you offer me $25,000 when I'm a supporting actress and the main actress is getting $10 million? That's an insult. And if we never say anything, it will never change. You know what we got to do? We got to force Hollywood to go into blackface again. You want you a black woman? You don't want to pay her? Then you be the black woman. You put the black face on. You put the black wig on, and you act like a black woman, and you create yourself some black actresses. And don't keep asking us to do it because you don't want to pay us like you pay yourselves. And that's just until somebody stops it, it's never going to end. So that's why I say Monique is the Colin Kaepernick of Black Hollywood. And what y'all got to say about that?
I agree. My daughter, my mom, and I, we discussed this, and my little brother, and we all discussed. Me personally, I totally understand that we have got to make more money. We have got to ask for more. And when it's not offered, we have to push. And if it breaks, then what do you do?
Right.
You gotta hold tight. And that doesn't seem to be happening. And I'm so proud that she's doing this. I am so proud of her because this is her livelihood. You know?
Absolutely. And the thing with Netflix is like her popularity died out because she got blackballed. She was sent roles. She was sent the role for The Help. She was sent a lot of different roles, but by the time, the casting directors got back with the money and told the money who they was casting, they was like, you cast her and we're out. They just wouldn't cast her. And then with the Netflix gig, they offered her $500,000. And I heard people saying, well, she should be happy with that. I would expect to get something close to that as a newcomer. She shouldn't be getting a $500,000 deal. You need to know what Netflix is all about and what these deals are about. No, that is an absolute insult to her. Then when you sit there and you offer Amy Schumer $13.7 million for a Netflix deal, Amy Schumer? Amy Schumer? Amy Schumer? Amy Schumer? Really? $13.7 million versus $500,000. And it's like, you can take it if you want to, but what you can't do is tell somebody what their worth is. You can't sit here and look at me and say, well, you ain't worth a dime. You don't know what I'm worth. And if I say I'm worth $1, then that's what I'm worth. And if you don't want to pay it, then you just keep it moving. But I know my worth. And so you can't sit and tell somebody what they're worth. It's the same thing. It's like if you call the car repair shop, how much do y'all charge to replace an engine? We charge $1,500. Oh, y'all not worth that. Okay, well, don't come here. I'm not going to change my price for you. That's what we charge. You either with it or you're not. So you can't be mad at that woman for valuing herself. And as well, she is worth more than $500,000. And so since I know that the big Hollywood check ain't never coming, they can kiss my black ass. It ain't never coming. And I'm not going to do none of the nasty stuff that folks do to get it either. I don't want to be in the next Brad Pitt movie. If he gets to make $10 million or $20 million and all I get is $45,000, I don't want that. I don't want that deal. You can keep it. Find you somebody else. So the only thing I'm looking to do right now is to build my popularity through independent films. And it's not even building popularity. It's just doing what I love. I love acting. It's a passion of mine. So I create my own scripts. Yeah, buddy, it's coming. Wait till I give me some money. Wait till I give me some money to film it. I'm going to film it and y'all going to laugh y'all ass off. I'm telling you. So I'm just about to go full force into independent filming, like getting with the independent directors, those that can pay, those that can't, that maybe can hook me up on the back end, maybe give me some copies so I can sell it to my people, give them money, or whatever the case might be. But I am not interested in Hollywood at all at this point. With the Me Too movement and this crap, I'm good. They can keep it because I got real talent and I've been to smack somebody and had to go to jail. That ain't gonna help nobody. But that racism, I'm telling you, look at me trying to segue as the comedy in me. Because I do, as you see, I have Mr. David Cooley on the night, and we are going to segue into racism and politics and history. So what kind of he wants to, I'm gonna let him take the floor. He gonna tell you the angle that he's going today.
Well, I think what we want to do over time, today is just an introduction, right? Because
right.
What we want to do eventually is we want to start kind of going into different subjects and, getting into some more depth,
right,
about different things. And first of all, so I'm a history nut. I love to read about history, American history. So there's a couple things we got to get out of the way first of all. Number one is the one thing we hate to hear about, Black History Month, right? Mm-hmm. Black History Month. That's the month where we learn. What do we learn in Black History Month? What do we remember about Black History Month? We learn about
peanut butter.
we learn about peanut butter, and we learn about okay. So, but essentially these days, history teaching in school these days is politicized. So you only learn what certain people want you to learn, especially in a state like Kentucky. What's up?
You come back over, honey, and bring your mic with you.
Yeah.
You should be able to slide that mic because I'm sorry, y'all. We gonna get it together.
We gonna get it together.
Okay, you go ahead and talk, baby. She coming.
There's so much you don't learn,
Right.
And so one thing I've learned is I read a lot. So here's what I like to read about. I like to read about political history of the United States, of what led up to the Civil War. Not so much about the Civil War itself, which, they like to teach all them dates and about the battles and all that stuff. But they don't really teach you accurately what led up to the Civil War. They don't really teach you accurately what happened after the Civil War. They don't teach you about how Jim Crow came about. Mm-hmm. And part of it is, I think, some people think it's like, well, they feel like criticizing the country if you tell the truth about what the country's about. Look, I'll be the first person to tell you, because I can, I've read a lot, and I know what this country used to be like, and I know what it's like now. And of course it's better now. Of course it is. So many laws are no longer on the books.
Right.
I've got a book that it literally just lists all of the laws, the racial laws that were put on the books in states and in the country. It boggles the mind, the things that they felt they had to put into law. Like it was against the law in one state. I don't remember what state. It was against the law in one state for a white man and a black man to play checkers together. If you seriously, it was literally, they had to write a law. You could not sit in the park. A white man and a black man could not sit in a park and play checkers. Couldn't use the same funeral homes. Couldn't sit in the same part of the theater. Couldn't sit in the same part of the bus. All these things we know. Certainly couldn't be educated together. Certainly couldn't be married. But so many little things that were just, put into place to keep the races separate. They did all that for a reason. The main reason I think history is important is two reasons. Number one, our kids have eyes and ears, and they see what's going on around them. They see what's going on around them. There's not a child, and we said this, I think, a few weeks ago. There's not a child in Louisville that doesn't know the difference between the East End and the West End.
Right.
Not one. There's not a single one. They see with their eyes the difference between the East End and the West End. They can't help but see it. It's very important that they know why that's there, why things are why they are. They need to understand that because they see the world around them. If we don't explain to them how things got to be the way they are, then I believe it twists their minds. It really does. You have to explain to them. Number two is because I'll tell you, if you don't think history is important, who does think history is important? The folks that want to keep the Confederate statues up.
Exactly.
They think history is important.
Exactly. That's why they fight
right?
for it.
Yeah.
And Erica, so Erica says they didn't tell us how we weren't even considered to be a whole human. Well, there's a little bit of history with that. Mm-hmm. I'm going to try to tackle this, and you correct me where I'm wrong, Mr. David Cooley, if you don't mind.
So we're talking 3/5, right?
The 3/5 rule.
All right, we're talking the 3/5 rule.
Okay, so here's how it went. In the South, they had open slavery. Slavery was the thing, and they basically counted their slaves as property, like a cow. Like I've got 8 slaves, and I've got 8 cows, so I've got 16 pieces of property. And so in the North, basically they said, okay, they're property. But then the South was trying to use their slaves and count them as people, as whole people, so that they could get better representation in Congress. And so if you got more people, then you get more representation. And so the North was like, nah, because that's your property. You can't count them as people because they don't have a right to vote. And so they not real citizens. They are property like your cows. Your cows don't get to go in the population to see how many represent. So that was the argument. So they came upon a compromise, and the 3/5 rule was born. So it wasn't that they said we wasn't full human. It was a compromise between the North and the South because the South was getting way more representation because they was counting their slaves as citizens. So that was the compromise, and that's
right.
where the 3/5 comes through.
Which a lot of people think, they said I was 3/5. No. Believe me, the South wanted to count you as
a whole
100% of a person. The North wanted to count you as 0/5 of a person.
Exactly.
It was all about power. It wasn't. Now, certainly the South wanted to count you just to get power. They didn't want to count you as a full person because they felt like you were a real person.
Right.
That they didn't feel, but they wanted that power. So if I own 100 people, I've got 60 votes, plus my vote and my wife's vote, or whoever's, probably your wife couldn't vote then either. That's right. So I got my vote plus another 60 votes for the 100 people that I own. That's why you've seen Southerners in the presidency, you've seen Southerners in Congress, you've seen Southerners in the cabinet for years, all the power. So, and these are the things that, these are the things I think, we should be teaching kids. And we don't, because honestly, again, what's taught in public schools is politicized. So it's got to, get through a whole lot of people of what we're going to teach. So that's why you learn about the Tuskegee Airmen, which is great to learn about. I mean, yeah, certainly. Those are great guys. I would love to meet one. You know what I'm saying? That is something great to learn about. But we should also be learning all the other things.
Right.
Number one, it's so that when we have these arguments over the past, which we do all the time, first of all, there's a reason why we have those arguments. And we have those arguments because we've never actually faced up to what really went on. To this day, we're still learning lies. We're still teaching lies. It's important. I'm 100% convinced, all the reading that I've done, I'm 100% convinced the reason why the country is, Donald Trump is president today because of the racial history of this country. Point blank. That's why he's president now. Our two political parties are what they are because of the racial history of America. The Democratic Party and the Republican Party would not be. We wouldn't have the divide that we have politically in this country had we faced up after the Civil War.
Right.
Or had we never had slavery to begin with. We would not have the political system we have. We wouldn't have the leaders we have. We wouldn't have the cities that we have. We wouldn't have the educational system we have. Because we never, ever faced up.
Nope.
And to this day, and we don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but I think, one of the things we're going to do, I think, is we want to, like the 3/5 is a perfect example. I think we want to get to the point where, every week we take something, a commonly held theory that you hear. Civil War was not about slavery, And we'll talk. Well, yeah. I could give you 100 reasons why. I could give you, and I would, maybe we'll do that next time. We'll do, okay, so what caused the Civil War? And I could give you 10 or 12 things that show. 10 or 12 facts that everybody knows. I'll give you one right now. Let's see. The Civil War. The slaveholding states had a war with the non-slaveholding states. That tells me maybe that had something to do with it because all the states on one side had slaves and all the states on the other side didn't. It didn't have nothing to do with slavery, right?
Right.
I give you 11 more. And then I'll tell you probably, you know what? But you know what? I'll agree with you. It wasn't about slavery. What it really was about was white supremacy. Because slavery itself was really just the mechanism for enforcing white supremacy in the South. It started off economic, but it became cultural and social. And if you read, I read some of these books and they have letters that people were writing each other during the Civil War, and you read what people were really thinking. At the end of the Civil War, what the South was really fighting for was to keep black people from being on an equal footing with white people. I'm going to tell you straight up. That's what it was about.
Right.
That's why they kept fighting. Because most Southerners didn't even own slaves. Most of them were too poor to own slaves. But they were white.
I feel like that's still the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure it is. To this day, here we are still. The one thing you can't take away from somebody is, if he may be poor, he may be living anywhere in this country, not have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of, but if he feels like he's got somebody that's below him,
He's okay.
that's important. It's important to him. I mean, those people are still here. Plenty of them, unfortunately.
In fact, I saw some on CNN. They are Trump supporters, and they basically are about to face bankruptcy because of some of the things that he's doing that has, hurt the farmers. They have a farm. And their whole view is, well, we're going to be in a bad way if he doesn't do something to stop that. But we believe in what he's doing. I heard another one say, yeah, we use food stamps and we use the Obamacare, but if they feel like it's better for the country for us to not have it, then, hey, we're just going to have to figure out another way. Boy, you're going to die of starvation and a common cold because you ain't going to have no help. Just stupid. Just dumb. Like, I don't care. Take my food, take my heart, just make America great again. I mean, seriously. That's what we're dealing with. That's what we're up against, David Cooley. That is what we are up against. That type of stupid. You have no other way to feed your family. Take my food stamps. Take my housing. Just make America great again. That's what we up against. I love
But it's
Trump.
the same thing. It's the same thing. I'm telling you, the attitudes unfortunately have not changed.
No.
Not the attitudes. Now, there's some people it has. I mean, clearly, there are not as many racists in this country now. You know,
Right.
I mean, if you look at the racial attitudes, you know, Lincoln had some of them. I mean,
Yeah.
he was as close to right as you could be in 1860. There's no doubt in my mind. But even he said he was not in favor of equality between blacks and whites in America. He didn't feel like we could live in a state of equality. He said that. But he did also say he felt like bread earned by the hand of a black man should go in a black man's mouth, not a white man's mouth. Essentially what he said. He has just as much right to eat the bread earned by his labor as a white man does.
I kinda
and that
look
was
at-
a radical thing to say back then.
Right, but see, I think it's kind of more so Lincoln didn't feel like we'd ever get a fresh shake because he knew the evil that was facing against
Sure.
us. So maybe that's why he didn't feel like we could ever be equal, and we still are not equal in
And
this
he was
society.
a politician, so he didn't get ahead of what he felt.
Right.
You know, I mean, you could, you know, as a leader, you can run all the way out in front and you can turn around and you can't even see where your followers are because they're so far behind you. He understood that he was the president of the United States. He had a constitutional duty to preserve the Union, and that's where he started.
Right.
Was, you know, hey, if you hand me the Union as a whole, as president, then it's my job to make sure when I hand it over to the next guy, it's still whole. I mean, that's my constitutional duty. And he did say if he could do that and slavery still existed when he was done doing that, then if that was the only way, that he said, well, that's my duty, and he was going to do that. There are things that he did that you could disagree with. Still think he was one of the greatest presidents we ever had. By the end of the Civil War, he had gone way further. So, but these are the kind of things that, you know, certainly I'd like to see people send in suggestions about things you'd like to talk about. You know, I think the
Yeah.
first one is going to be causes of the Civil War, and we'll just do, you know, maybe like we said, every second Tuesday we'll do maybe half an hour, and it just be okay. So let's talk about the history of it, and then people throw ideas at us, and you know, we'll do a little bit of research, and we'll just kind of spark a discussion. And you know, really, what we really need to start doing is, you know, there's folks out there that are history teachers.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why I knew I could never be a history teacher like in a public school system
they put a
is because
muzzle
they
on
won't
you.
let me. Yeah, they won't let me teach what I want to teach. I mean, I have to teach what I have to teach, right? But we could certainly, you know, if we got folks listening that are teachers, we could certainly get together and do like a tutoring, like an after-school thing, and teach what we want to teach.
Speak your mind.
Hey, Tyler. How you doing, sweetheart? I just wanted to touch on one of the things that David said. He said that America is not as racist now as it was then. And I kind of take issue just with that one comment simply because what I think the difference is, it's not that people are more racist now than they were then or not. I think it's always been the same. I think there's always been good people that had everybody's interest at heart, meaning probably more people in the North than the South. But what it is today is that bigots feel entitled now more than they have for the last 30 or 40 years to speak what's on their mind and act what's on their mind without consequence. You got police thinking it's okay to say out loud that it's okay to shoot black people. Even if they were doing that in the 60s, they weren't saying it out loud like that for the whole world to hear it. They do it with their hoods on, right around the South, yee-hooing and all that type of mess. You know, I just think Trump's America is America what it's been in the back burner of a lot of white consciousness for a long time and just was unexpressed.
Yeah.
Been a lot of poor white folks a long time ago sitting in Portland thinking, I don't know how I've been in Portland all this time and how my family's been for generations, but at least I'm still white. You know, so
that
I
was
think it's more,
that was the trade-off. That was the trade-off to a lot of the things, like with the New Deal. A lot of the benefits of the New Deal were, You know, it was hard getting the deal to go through because Southern governors wanted control over who got benefits when and where. And if you're a citizen, you would automatically qualify. But if they make amendments and changes to the New Deal that allows the Southern governors to say, you know what, I'm not giving black folks the GI Bill loan money to buy a house. I'm not going to let them draw Social Security. I'm not going to do these things. Then, you know, that's the only way that it went past. So the policies has always been around, how do you help whites and not include blacks? And that was a trade-off for the New Deal.
Well, the New Deal screwed us at the end of the day anyway, because at the end of the day, what you ended up with on our side was a lot of generational institutional welfare, a lot of lack of trying, a lot of, you know, I know some things are set up for you not to succeed, but I also know that each and every one of us had a choice on whether we wanted to succeed or not. It didn't matter what happened yesterday or the day before. A lot of that was personal accountability, and what happened with that is I think that the New Deal was incomplete, because it did just enough to make people dependent without doing anything to make them independent. And that's just my thought on that.
And it's also the execution, right? Because the way they wrote the laws was it let in a lot of what, you know, I've got a master's of public administration. It's something we talked about all the time, is administrative discretion. Any program you build, eventually there's going to be somebody sitting across the desk from you that's going to be making decisions, and they have a certain amount of discretion to be able to say what you get, what you don't get. That's kind of what the South wanted to play on, right? They wanted that guy to be able to discriminate. But you even have it in the North where, you know, those individuals, their prejudices, that's how their prejudices, even if the law is not written that way, that's how their prejudices get into the system, is the person that's executing it, right?
Well, that's true, but even with the way the New Deal went, some of the things were done specifically to break up the black family, taking the male out of the household and making the woman the primary sole breadwinner, and put us in a situation where even still today we make less money on the dollar than any other group all the way across the whole gentrification system that we have going on.
And then you add what? What do you add on top of
end
that?
up the households that have no husband.
And not only that, but then what do you do?
Mass incarceration.
Mass incarceration. That's the next step.
It's like we got these men are no longer with the women, so we've got to have somewhere for them to go. And
Yeah.
what better place for them to be but to be making money for us for free?
That's right. Oh, hey,
So-
we can make money off them in the deal.
Yeah. So basically, with the 14th Amendment, with the 13th Amendment, it basically, freed slaves, but that's only if you're not incarcerated.
Yeah.
So that's the only stipulation. So you wonder why they created ways for everybody to be, incarcerated so quickly and so easily. You drop a bunch of drugs in the neighborhood and you build a bunch of laws around those drugs that mean that if we catch you with it, we get to lock you up. And
Wait a minute.
I do wanna-
your food stamps right now. They want to know if there's a man in your house. They should be clapping every time a woman goes in there and say there is the father, the kids
I
in the
know,
house.
because
But
now
instead, the way they get it, they don't want the man to be with you.
That's why I want people to understand that when you might feel like you winning because you have Section 8. You might feel like you're winning because you have food stamps, and those two basic essential things you probably don't have to worry about. But you know what the government don't have to worry about? Your po ass.
Right.
They don't have to worry about you ever rising up. They don't care about you. They don't create laws to benefit you.
Or your kids, because then
Or
your
your
kids,
kids.
some kids get the wrong impression that they're going to have without having to work or without having a work ethic to make it, or to even have an incentive to make it. Why should I have to go to college if I can live for free for some people?
Right,
you know?
I could once I get my Section 8, you know what I'm saying? I've heard people say, y'all just jealous because y'all still on the waiting list. Like, no, I'm not going to be on the waiting list to stay in poverty, because the big thing about Section 8, food stamps and everything, is that in order to qualify, you have to remain in poverty. The moment you step out of the lines of poverty or the income of poverty, they going to take your stuff away, which
And
is
that's
very
when you
scary
winning,
to
though.
a lot of
That's
people.
when you winning.
I'm gonna
That's
tell
when
y'all
you
just
winning,
like
though.
that is absolutely when you're winning. And thank you so much for your comments, Miss.
Thank you, sweetheart.
Well, and there's something else I want to touch on real quick, because it's a very good point, is that, the prejudiced among us, the racists among us, are feeling empowered, right?
Right.
With the president that we have in there now, which is 100% true. So kind of it's a good point. I kind of want to build on that a little bit, because here's what I see happening. People that are right-thinking people are still right-thinking people. In other
Yeah.
words, Donald Trump can be on TV all day long, say anything he wants to say about anybody. It's not going to change my mind.
Nope.
But what it does is, when you open that space like he does,
Yeah.
and you make it so that it's acceptable in public to say the things that he says, To me, what it does is whatever group of people you're in, it allows you to move to a higher level. And what I mean is this. Some people would think things that are racist, but they would never say them.
Yeah.
Now they feel like it's okay to go from thinking it to saying it. And they may never go no further than that. People who felt it was okay to say racist things in a certain group, like in, polite company, now they feel like it's okay to say it in public. People that always felt it was okay to say it in public, now maybe they feel enabled to move into taking actions. Maybe actions that nobody will see, but maybe now I'm going to paint something on the wall, or I'm going to tape a sign up when nobody's watching. You know what I'm saying? People who thought it was okay to, do stuff like that when nobody was watching, now they're feeling a little bit more empowered to do stuff when people are watching. So in my mind, what he's doing is he's creating a climate where it ramps everything up. So wherever you were on that timeline, or you know what I'm saying, now people feel like it's okay to move to the next step. Right. And that's why you're seeing much more incidents of violence that are coming out, because people that never would have done that before, they had those feelings, you know what I'm saying, but they never would have taken those actions. Now, I 100% agree with you. Now they feel like it's okay to do that. And that's what we got to watch. That's why words are so important.
Mm-hmm. That's why you got to be
ready. You got to be
I'ma
responsible with the things you say.
You come to me with that, I'm going to take my fist and I'm trying to ram it down your throat.
Don't let your president get your ass whooped.
Please don't.
Okay, but so we got to be responsible in the things we say, especially when we're president of the United States. But we elected somebody, and sometimes people have this conversation. Describe Donald Trump in one word, and you can say a lot of things that probably ain't true. You can say idiot. No, he's probably, he may act like one, but he ain't an idiot. I'm not saying he's mentally, his intellect is deficient. His personality certainly is. But my word for him is irresponsible. That's my word for him. He doesn't think before he acts. He doesn't understand the repercussions of the things he does. That's irresponsible. It's like a child is irresponsible. Mm-hmm. They do things without any regard for those around them or for the repercussions of the things that they do or that they say.
Narcissist as well.
And he's got all those other things on top of being irresponsible, all those other things.
Everything is the world according to how I see it. And so, like, Russia's great. They're our friends. No, they're your friend. They're not America's friend. You're looking at it from your perspective. You've been doing business with them for years. We have not. So,
my word for him, I'm going to hang up with you, but my word for him is redundant. He hates immigrants, but 4/5 of his kids are half immigrants. So that's my take.
I know that's right. Self-hate.
Hey, but the porn star was born here, so
I know that's
let's give him a little credit.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
So, I think we're going to just close up the political or the history part of it, just saying, one of the things I think we want to bring out, this is where one of the problems I have with American history is, what you learn about, except, they'll give you certain examples of, but they'll give them to you as, this is somebody that did something great, but they're kind of the exception, not the rule, right?
Right.
So you can learn a whole lot in school about American history, and you always think that the history of black people in America is that what was done to them.
Not what they did for.
Never what, you don't hear a whole lot about how black folks themselves helped win the Civil War and would not have been won without them. You don't hear about the agency of black folks in the civil rights movement somewhat. But, even the Civil Rights Act, we were having a conversation the other day, and I was reading this really good book. It's a biography of Lyndon Johnson talking about the Civil Rights Act. You would think that Lyndon Johnson got the Civil Rights Act in 1964 passed. That was his deal. He used the death of Kennedy to get it done, which that is true. But without the political power of black folks in this country, nobody would have signed on to that. They had to see a rise in voting among black folks in the North and the South.
Are you listening? Listen to what he said. Rewind.
This is very important because we're going to keep coming back to this. Without fear of what black voters would do if they didn't pass a Civil Rights Act, which they actually passed one, I want to say 58. They actually passed a small one. It was kind of a voting rights act. It's kind of toothless, but it was the first time they really did anything. With the only thing that convinced those senators and those congressmen in Washington to pass the Civil Rights Act was they knew if they didn't, they were going to get hammered at the polls. This was a period of time, late 50s, early 60s, when the black vote was up for grabs. Some were still voting Republican from way back, because that was the party of Lincoln. Mm-hmm. Some were voting Democratic, especially in the big cities, the machine politics. Mm-hmm. But neither side wanted all of the black vote to go one place, and they didn't want it to go against them. Right. And black voters were starting to vote. We were starting to get people on the voting rolls in the South. But a lot of people were moving, they call it the Great Migration, from the South to the North to the big industrial cities where they could vote. And now the black vote was starting to be really important. It was a huge deal.
And out west in California.
And out west, it was a huge deal. That was political power, and they knew they had to do something because if they didn't, they were going to pay.
And I want y'all to look at how, like me personally, I probably voted for gay rights probably 5 times before it finally passed the way it should. And before it was implemented into law. But you look at how much, like, think about the LGBT community. They never missed a vote. They had something that they was looking for, so they never missed a vote. Now, I would probably say that probably 90% of them always showed up to vote. And so when we want to get things done, like you think it's not possible to end certain institutions, it is, but not until we make our voices heard.
Think about Alabama.
Exactly. 98% of black women voted for Doug Jones. 98% of black women voted for.
And they showed up. It wasn't 98% of the 10% that showed up.
Right. No. It was 98% of the 90% of voters that showed up.
That's right.
And that's why they were trying to call foul in Alabama, because they had never seen where the black population showed up. 90% of those registered to vote showed up to vote.
Yeah.
When you got somebody trying to implement slavery, I bet your black ass get up and vote.
I'm going to tell you right now. There's no doubt in my mind. If they knew for a fact, if there was a history, a track record, let's put it this way. If there was a track record of Hispanic voters in America, of 90 to 95% of Hispanic voters show up to the polls and vote, you think we'd still be arguing about DACA right now?
Nope.
Or you think they would have got something done if they thought there was enough power out there to kick them out of office?
Exactly. And that's what we're going to do anyway. Now look, I'm telling y'all, I know y'all want these beautiful black women to run the country. I'm telling y'all, we not ready yet. Listen to me. Follow me here. We are at least 6 years away from accepting another black president. Now you might, what's up? I see you stressed. You might think that we ready because we had Barack, but Barack didn't get shit done. Because we was not ready for a black president. They just gave us one. Now listen to me what I'm saying. Now, we got elections coming up in this year. This damn year. We've got elections coming up. We have to show up 90% across the fucking country. And yes, I use the F word. I've been trying not to cuss today, but I have to. It is important. We have to show up every time they open the polls. Every time they open the polls, it is that important. We have to be 90 to 100% voter turnout. When they see the black vote jumping from 19 to 30 all the way to 90, they're going to start looking at our issues, what it is that we want. How can I get your vote? We haven't asked them for our vote forever, since the Civil Rights Movement. That was the last time we demanded our vote. We've demanded something for our vote. The LGBT community, you know what the hell they wanted when they elected freaking Obama. He promised them what they wanted. We're going to give you your rights if you vote for me. When are black people going to stand up and say, you know what? Close every private prison and never open them up again. Turn those private prisons into schools now.
And we could have been on the way.
We could have been on the way, but
let's look at recent history.
OMG.
Like you say, you know what? Look, I voted down at Carter Elementary. I used to live in Park Duval. I used to vote at Carter Elementary. I'll never forget the day in 2008, Election Day 2008. It was a beautiful thing. I mean, literally, tears were in people's eyes to stand in that line and vote for that man. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was like I'd never seen a crowd like that before. But 2 years later, nobody showed up.
And they left him
And
out
guess
to
what?
dry.
He can't do it by himself. President is great, but if you don't have Congress, you haven't got nothing.
Nothing but
Which is
veto
why I
power.
say Donald Trump, he's just the hype man. He's Joe
it.
C. with a comb over and a spray tan. He's the hype man. Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell, that is who's really got the power in Washington. Those two cats. And if you know anything about them, you don't want them in power. Everybody's paying attention, to Fredo, but you got to worry about Michael. That's who you got to worry about, right?
I can
I
do
am smart.
stuff.
All right. More recently, look, Michigan, one of the key states that Trump took. 10,000 votes in the entire city. You think you couldn't find 10,000 folks in the city of Detroit that didn't vote, that if they had voted, and very few in Wisconsin, and very few in Ohio, very few in Pennsylvania, you think we couldn't have found those votes? And we would not be, the repercussions are unbelievable. We haven't even talked about the stuff that Sessions is doing.
OMG.
Trying to wiggle out a consent decree so Baltimore can go back to its old ways with its police department, and Chicago could go back to its old ways, and Ferguson can go back to its old ways. That's what they're trying to do. And oh, by the way, trying to sue colleges for discriminating against, essentially they're saying Asians, but basically suing colleges for discriminating against Asians and white people on behalf of black people, and trying to get rid of affirmative action, and trying to overturn school assignment plans, which is an important issue here in Louisville. And the OSHA and the environment and every other thing. I mean, we could go on. And now trying to restart the war on drugs, which a member of the Nixon administration came out and said, we invented the war on drugs to get at the hippies and the black folks. That's what we created, the war on drugs, so that we would have a lever against our enemies, which was blacks and the anti-war movement. We created the war on drugs from whole cloth to get at those, and still today. And guess what? They're doubling down on the war on drugs. They're doubling down on the private prisons.
They're doubling down on marijuana like it's heroin. Mm-hmm. It's a Schedule I drug just like heroin. Why?
And we couldn't have found a few thousand people here and there to stop that from happening. Here's the thing. We can find those 10,000 people. Because guess what? If we take back both houses of Congress in 2018, you can put a halt to all that. Now, you may not get done what you want to get done, but you can sure as hell stop them from doing what they want to do.
And then in 2020, we elect the right president.
There you go.
To take us the rest of the way. Now, look, we only 6 years away from emptying Congress out, period. Like, we can replace everybody in Congress. Like, some of the Democrats need to go. Some of those establishment Democrats need to go. And most of the Republicans need to go. Most of the Republicans need to go. Now, look, Kentucky. Now, before Mitch McConnell got elected, I went live. It was right around the time when Facebook Live came popular. I went live on y'all, and I was like Allison Lundergan Grimes. If you look back at my videos, I begged y'all to go out. Now, we cannot sit on this vote no more. Now, with Mitch McConnell, I'm quite sure the DNC is going to dump a lot of money in Kentucky to get rid of him. I don't know who's going to actually come forward that I can vote for. I can't tell you that I'm giving the Democrat that votes my vote, that runs my vote. I probably will against him. I probably will. Anybody's better than Mitch. Mitch just get on my nerves. Isn't he embarrassment? Let me tell you about Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell, he just sat there and he talks about Trump, and he says, you know what? I was talking to Mr. Trump, and I really don't know what Mr. Trump wants, and we just want to go this thing down. We're going to kick this can down the road. We're going to get the government back open, and we're going to... That's what I heard when Mitch McConnell talks. Like, open your mouth, turkey neck fool. I don't like Mitch McConnell. Did I mention that today? I don't like that dude at all. So on the subject of, one thing I do want to debunk about history and racism is I want to debunk all of the misconceptions of home ownership. because a lot of what's been told and a lot of what's been preached and picked up and carried is that black folks can't own homes and we will never be able to afford them. And I saw some stuff yesterday that just blew my mind.
Yep, let's switch.
Switch, DJ. Okay, so while we're taking this break, I want to remind you all that I will be with the DOE girls at the 502 Cafe on February the 9th. I will be hosting an album release for them for Shell Shakja and Tanya Hogan. Please show up and show out for your tickets. Check the Speak Your Mind page to see the flyer, and it would also contain how you can get at them to get the tickets. And also check out Miss Sherry Green with Vision Productions, and she is my go-to person in the entertainment business. So those are my sponsors. If you want to sponsor with the show, understand that I have sponsorship deals right now through the end of the month. $25 and $50 gets you advertising for a month. Call me to get a breakdown of what those services include. $25 and $50. Now, as a re-announcement, we are giving away a $25 gift card. If you can look up online and call in next week and tell me when the last time a black woman made the top 10 highest paid actress list. So I know in my head, but I want you to go and find out. And then I want you to look at all, just see what you can see. See what you can see when you see it. And you call me next week and you tell me. And I give you your gift card. And I'm going to give another one away tonight. I think I'm going to give it away tonight. I don't know who's going to get it. I'm going to give it away to somebody that shared this video. So I'm going to say the 10th person that shares this video, if it's already been shared 10 times, I'm sorry, you can't win. But I'm going to look on my laptop and see who the 10th person was that shared it, and they're going to get the other gift card. And they'll be able to choose between the two. I have a Home Depot gift card of $25, and I got a Starbucks gift card of $25. So, still searching. Okay. You are so silly, Erica. But so I've got 2 gift cards to give up, and they are both $25. One to Home Depot and one to Starbucks. So if you call me, I will give it to you with the answer. Okay, so we want to talk about some of the benefits of home ownership. And what I have with me is I have a home expert. Oh, my God. She's only been in the business like for all of her life. Like since she was a little baby. She's been selling houses since she was a baby. She used to say, buy this house. And they say, ooh, the little girl knows what she means. Her name is Honey Crenshaw. Hey, honey, sweetheart, sugar pie.
Hello.
Talking to the mic. Come on. Look, don't be mic shy now.
Okay.
You know, you got to put
I'm
your
not
mouth
gonna
up
cover
on
up
it.
Dave 'cause
You got to put your mouth.
You're good. This
Okay.
is all you.
Okay.
You got to put your mouth up on it. You got to put your mouth up on it. Like, hey, how you doing? How you doing?
Like that.
So what I read yesterday, and you and I had a conversation about it, and I was able to actually speak with her because it was somebody that I've known for like since I was a teenager. And we kind of went back and forth because she said, I don't care if you buy a house through a bank, you still won't never own it. You be paying payments for the rest of your life and you ain't gaining nothing but a big ass house payment. And I was like, oh, who told you that? So, you know, I got in my feelings like, no, don't say that, because one of my biggest goals is to, I'm not going to say it's a goal, but it's one of my missions is to start a MARTA business where I'm actually helping people who don't have the credit or the means to actually be a homeowner become a homeowner. So it would have to be, you know, a working person. I think I've shared this idea with you, honey, but it's basically, it's basically, I'm not trying to get rich. I'm just trying to help more people own land and go around the banks to do it to where you don't have to actually go through a bank to get financed. Now, it's not going to really work for somebody that doesn't like to work. So I'm not talking to you guys. I'm talking to the people who may have Section 8, may not have Section 8, but don't feel like their credit is good enough, but they have steady employment and they are used to paying a rent. They are used to paying. Those are the people that I'm going to be targeting, because I'm never going to be with mediocrity. And if you are cool with being mediocre, then that's fine. But I'm always going to try to motivate you to do better, because I know that you don't count until you do better.
And at some point, they'll own it, right?
At some point, yes. It was a misconception. Now, what she was coming from, now, that girl, when I talked to her, she had a different situation. She's in this home ownership program where a portion of her rent goes into an account for her to be able to buy and purchase a home. And she's been on that program for 14 years. So she's got like $65,000 put up to be able to purchase a home. So to her, if you don't have that, then you ain't Chad. But no. So to her, she's looking at it like, and honestly, I was in a similar program. I don't know if it's the same one, but it's through the Section 8 program. Because I used to have Section 8. When I got it, I thought I had made it. Mama, I made it. I did. I thought I had made it until I realized how invasive those people are. And how I can't just help somebody, one of my family members, you know, that might be homeless. So I was on the Section 8 program for like 2.5, 3 years. And when it, like, at first they was paying a lot, and then I started working, so my money was going into an account. And then the next year, they would only pay $29 of my rent, and I had to pay the rest of it. And the following year, I had got a couple of raises. They was like, well, you are over the income guidelines, but we will allow you to keep your Section 8 for another year as a safety net. And I thought to myself, do I want to keep it or drop it? And I said, well, Tyra, ain't nothing wrong with you. You always going to work, and so you always going to pay your rent. You been paying your rent. You can get them out of your business. So you can go ahead and get your little money that you got put up in the account, and somebody else can actually use this Section 8 that may actually need it. So for me, I got off the program, which was good for me, and I haven't had to look back. I mean, it's been a couple times I'm like, daggone, I wish I had some Section 8 because these people getting on my nerve, and I need that safety net. So it's been a couple of times that I wanted to have it, but I'm glad that I didn't have to, you know, go back that way. And there's nothing wrong with using it as a stepping stone. But as my sisters and my brothers, I'm here to tell you, I am never going to condone mediocrity in you. I'm always going to push you to do better for yourself. That's just it. I don't care if you're in a mansion. You can always do better. But anyway, so yes, the answer to the question to her, she's going off of the concept of it's not an asset until it's paid off. Well, that's not true. A house is an asset from day one, and you own the home from day one. It's kind of like a gray area, though, with do you own the home if you've got a loan on it? And I have to say yes. I have to say you own it from day one, and I'm going to tell you why you own it from day one. If I see this house and I say, "Ooh, this house is beautiful, I want to have it," and they say you can have it for a small fee. It's $100,000, and I go and I say, "Hey, Joe Bank, can I borrow $100,000 to buy this house?" And they say, "Yeah, we'll give you $100,000." That's the separate contract that I have there. Now the buyer, all they want is the money. That they just want me to come back with the money. They're not concerned with the bank. Ownership is changed, and my name is on the deed. The deed just has a loan attached to it. So at the end of the day, I own the property. If I want to tear the property down, I can do that, but I wouldn't have no way to pay the bank back if I defaulted on the loan. But it's my property to remodel, to do whatever I want to do with it. But it is also my collateral for my loan. Now, your loan terms are based on you. Like whatever the bank offers you, you can take it or you can leave it. They might say 6% for 30 years, fixed rate. And so now your payments are going to be whatever they are for that rate. But what you have to understand is you can always pay it off early. You don't have to pay on it for 30 years. And when you want to pay it off early, if you want to just pay the payments where you don't have to worry about a mortgage, then you just send a larger payment in as normal. But if you want to pay down the balance, then you want to send payments with the principal in the comments. You want this applied to principal only. Meaning if I owe you $60,000 and I'm sending you $5,000 off of my tax return, which I fully advise y'all to do if you own a home, start paying it off. Don't send it as a regular payment. Send it as a principal payment, whatever you can do. That's just my suggestion because you don't have to pay forever for a house. But they take that $5,000 and instead of just the little bit of $50 going towards principal for your regular payment, your actual whole $5,000 is bringing your balance down to $55,000 instead of $60,000. And now you have equity in your home. So I want people to understand that there are a lot of benefits to home ownership. One thing that you don't get with renting, that you get with home ownership, is the tax benefits. Do you hear me? And I'm gonna let Honey talk a little bit about, because I can get into that portion, but I want to see what she's got to say as far as the biggest benefits to home ownership.
Ooh, the biggest benefits. Oh my goodness. I'm going to say the best benefit there is personal enjoyment.
Yes.
A lot of people ask me, okay, so what's the best house for me? You know, or can I redo my house? What can I put in this house that's going to wow the next person? Okay, personal enjoyment. to be able to come home and paint a room blue, or to be able to pull it up and put new carpet down, or walk in your kitchen, come home in your driveway. Personal enjoyment is the biggest benefit. Okay? So as Sarah mentioned, the tax benefits.
Oh my God.
There are some wonderful tax benefits. I'm not a tax attorney or a CPA, so I really can't go into those.
I will later if you want me to.
Yes.
Okay, I'll tell you right now. Well, you was looking for your
Well,
mortgage
and
statement.
we got to be clear because they just changed the rules, right? So
Yeah.
from year to year, they actually just raised the standard deduction. So there's probably a lot of people that needed the tax deduction for their mortgage interest that next year they don't even need it because they're going to use a standard deduction and they're not going to have enough to itemize. But depending on your situation, how many kids you have, what your income is, it still, might be very nice to do
Is
that.
that separate though, babe? I think because they had that too. I don't know. But
I'm pretty sure the mortgage interest is one of the
part of the
deductions that
item
roll up into, and then if you
Item-
have enough
yeah.
to exceed the standard deduction, then you itemize, and if
That's
you don't,
right.
then you use the standard.
Yeah, that's right.
But
So,
still a good thing.
but the standard deduction is going to double for only 8 years. So eventually it's going to come back to that. But at any rate, your taxes that you pay on your home are still tax deductible, and you get counted into the voter pool. Like they really don't consider people that aren't homeowners for a lot of things, and you have to really look at the laws to see what it means. Like the whole gun laws, all that's about home ownership. They ain't really protecting gun laws for renters. Like ain't no home ownership law protection for renters. Like they don't respect you. They don't they don't count you. They don't look at renters as even taxpayers for real. It's like they don't count. So I'm trying to get everybody to actually value home ownership more than what we do, because it's been put so far away from us, or we've been told so much about how we can't get something or do something. Can you scoot over, baby, so you can get in that picture? You get closer, honey. I ain't worried about y'all. Okay. So I want everybody to, to actually have the opportunity to own, because it is a lot of, like, one of the things that I love about owning, like, I don't have to call nobody if I want to get a dish network, or if I want to build a garden, if I want to put a basketball rim up, if I want a swimming pool in my backyard, if I want to do it. I don't have to call nobody.
Don't want to have to worry what my neighbors are doing.
Right.
Is the dude below me going to set the whole building on fire?
Why are
Who's
the
gonna
people
move in
above
upstairs?
me
Who's
so
gonna-
noisy?
Right.
Kids running at 3
Yeah.
a.m. in the morning.
And
And how about the money?
And right, and the money, and that's like a big, like, okay, for instance, me and David, we moved into this house when we first got together because we had loved it each other and we couldn't stay away from each other and stuff. And we had got into this house, and it was $1,050 a month. And it's the house
To
that
rent. We rented
to
it
rent.
for, about a year?
Yeah, about a year. We were ready way before them. They was dragging their feet and trying to make us waste our money and stuff. But we was renting it for $1,050, and by the time we closed with the escrow included, it was like what, $716?
$736 a month.
$736 a
Mortgage
month.
payment.
Mortgage payment. So we saved more than $300 a month owning it.
Buying a home.
Yep.
Buying a home.
So I don't know where these big ass payments that they keep on talking about are about, because you will always, it's going to be very rare unless you are on Section 8 or low income housing. You're going to pay more to rent than you would ever to pay to buy. Because if you look at the house you're living in now, go ahead and Google it. Google to see how much the house you are renting now is worth. And then you pull up a mortgage calculator to see how much your house note would be versus how much they actually charge you for rent. And you have to include not only what you're paying, but if you're on Section 8, you have to include what Section 8 is paying them. Because a lot of times they have a 2-bedroom voucher for $900. I ain't paying no $900 for no 2 bedrooms, and unless they cooking my
Tell you
breakfast
something
every
else
day.
that we had talked about the other day. You have more protection. Honestly, you have more protection as a homeowner in a lot of respects than you do as a renter. A renter, once you're past your lease, your landlord can't raise your rent.
Yep.
And there ain't a whole lot you can do about it except move. Once you get that mortgage payment, assuming you get a fixed mortgage, which maybe you'll want to talk about, I think you always want to do that.
I got screwed. I got hoes, but it was my fault. It was my fault.
Okay, so there are some people that variable rate mortgages work for. and that's like doctors, lawyers, people that may be just coming out of a graduate school or PhD program, and they know that they're going to make an astronomical amount of money in the next year, 2 years, 4 years, however long, you know, you get that variable rate mortgage for, and that works for them. But for most people, you really need a fixed rate mortgage. You don't know what interest rates will do. You don't know if they're going up next year or down next year, next month, next week, tomorrow. We don't know. So getting a fixed rate mortgage means my payment on the home. Now, that doesn't include taxes and insurance. That's between them. If your taxes go up, your mortgage isn't changing, but your taxes change. If your insurance, your hazard insurance on your property goes up, your mortgage doesn't change because it's fixed, but that insurance payment, the bank is paying that for you.
Right.
So that's kind of a misconception also. But I'd like to talk about, with fixed rates, that's great. I would like to talk about the loan process, where it starts.
Right.
Okay, I have probably 3 messages in my inbox. I'm sorry, this is so.
No, you have to. This is why I have you here.
I have 3 inbox messenger messages where people come to me and they literally are like, okay, I don't know where to start. I have no idea. I want to buy a house, but how do I buy a house?
Yeah, I didn't know either.
I've been trying for years to buy a house, and I know I want to, but bills keep coming up, and the car, and the kids, and Christmas, and the tax money that went to furniture, and the this and the that. Okay, you have to stop. You have to stop, because if you wanted a new car, you would figure out how to make it work. When that car salesman sits there and says, oh, it's just 1 cup of coffee a day, it starts making sense, right?
Right.
We have to get the same way with ownership, owning real property. If you want to own something that more than likely, okay, markets do this too, hard assets do this too, if more than likely that property will go up at some point in value, okay? So your mortgage, your total amount that you owe for this house is here. And every month you make that payment, it comes down, okay? But look what can happen. The price of your home can go up. So this big gap right here is called equity. And guess whose that is?
Yours.
It's yours. So guess what you can do with this equity right here?
Refinance. No. You just have
Don't
actually.
make me fight you.
I know, but you could, like, seriously, say you had a situation where John got locked up and he had to have a bond and they was only doing full cash. You could actually.
Yes.
It's a property bond. Like, when you have equity, like, say, like she was explaining, that's a beautiful, I love you brought that up. So say you bought the house for $100,000, right? 10 years later, it's down to $80,000 because it ain't gonna move much over 10 years. Because I'm telling you, what they probably talking about is when you get a mortgage, just like with a car, if you look at how your payment schedules go, it'll say your payment is here, this amount goes to principal, this amount goes to interest. Especially in the state of Kentucky, they are charging you all the interest they can in the beginning. And I'm going to tell you why. Because the state of Kentucky does not penalize the account holder for paying off the balance early. Some states will penalize you for paying a mortgage early. They'll say, okay, well, you paid the principal too quick and we didn't make enough money. So the law says we get to charge you 2% of what you didn't pay us. That ain't happening in Kentucky. So in Kentucky, I could literally win the lottery today, pay my house off tomorrow, and not have to worry about none of the rest of that interest. That 30 years, you really won't start paying for your house for like 15 years. Like, you will. Every payment will have a little bit going to principal, but it's not really going anywhere. It really, towards the end, it's mostly principal and very little interest. So it's always to your benefit to try to pay it down quicker as possible, because then what you'll see is your payment will try to go down. They see you starting to pay the balance. They want to stretch stretch it out. They see you trying to pay it off, so they want to try to adjust your payment. So, hey, you don't have to send us so much. Send us this much because we need you for 30 years. Our calculation is that we was going to get you for 30 years. So we want you to no longer send us 700, only send us 500. If they do that, don't argue with them. Send them the 500. If you was paying 7, and then you take that other 2 and you send it to them as a principal payment. Because we're not lowering this payment. We getting this thing paid off. They not doing you a favor. They doing themselves a favor when they lower that payment. And they will lower it if you pay a substantial amount of your principal. Don't fall for it. Your payment didn't go anywhere. It's just how does it get distributed. This is my regular payment. This goes to principal. So yeah, and equity is a beautiful thing, man. You can. That's how. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you how people do. I'm gonna tell you real quick now. Say if you got a house in the foreclosure time, you got a real big deal because the housing market is coming back. So say you got a house for like $40,000 that is now worth $150,000. You can refi. And then what you can do, if you refi, say you refi for the value of the house. You pay $40, it's paid off, it's now worth $150. You'll have a $150,000 mortgage, but you also got $150,000 cash to go and buy whatever car you need to do, put whoever through college, whatever the case might be, and all you have is that one mortgage payment to pay. So I don't want people to feel like and that's how people get over. Like a lot of these white folks, they get a deal on a house, and they'll refi it and pull $30,000 out of it, and then go buy them a brand new car with no house note, with no car note. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So that's what a lot of people do. So you have to understand how money is being manipulated. They ain't really done nothing extra. They just waited for their house to appreciate and pull the money out of it and went and bought the car that they wanted. And their payment probably dropped because they got a better interest rate if they was keeping up with their house note anyway. So now it looks like they pulled $30,000 out and the payment didn't really move.
The car depreciates. The house.
The house doesn't.
Yeah.
Right. The car
Normally
depreciates when you drive it off the lot.
And that is very, very, that is important that I think we need to understand that better. Because 9 times out of 10, when I have a client that doesn't or isn't able to qualify, chances are
their car note's too high. I'm sorry. She gonna tell the car people I can afford $700, but tell the realtor I can only do $400. I got to be right. I got to have my rims now.
Or they miss payments. Okay, credit cards, cars, anything that you used a social security number to purchase, if you don't make the payment, it goes on your credit. Okay, so when you were 22 and you decided not to pay your Dillard's card, guess what? It shows up there and there's a ding. Okay, so the goal is to, if you make a bill, pay that bill.
Because it costs you money, right?
It costs you money.
Because if you have a higher credit score, you pay less for things.
Yeah.
Point blank. You get a better rate on your car, you get a better rate on your house if you have a higher credit score. That's how they get you.
Absolutely correct.
Yeah, that's how they get you.
You pay that interest. Like when they be sending me them credit cards all the time, don't they, baby? I be ripping them straight up. I ain't paying you 23% of nothing, dude. What's wrong with you?
I mean, and even accepting it and not using it can hurt your credit score because they're like, you have available credit that's too much for what you make.
Yep.
That's how they get you. This is one of the things, man, I tell you, if only that in school they taught financial literacy and just taught you the basic rules that we all have to live by, and you're living by them, even if you don't think you're living by them, you're living by them.
Basic.
Oh, did I do that?
Yeah, it's okay.
I don't think it's gone. Come back. There we go.
We're
Sorry,
still
y'all.
here. I mean, to me, there's a couple of advantages, of owning. Number one is, first of all, one of the problems I think that we see in America is, wealth in America is generational, right? Most of the wealth that people have, if you look at the disparity of wealth in white families and the wealth in black families, those white families didn't make all that wealth just within this generation. They made it in the last generation and the previous generation. And previous generation, black families are not passing on wealth.
Nope.
But houses are
Well, that's most of it, right? That's most of what it is.
Yes.
This is what Tara and I say all the time. It's like, we've got this house. We want to improve the house. We want to keep the house. We actually got all kinds of plans for that house and the property next door too, and be able to pass that on to the kids where, look, if they stay in Louisville, think about the wealth that they have if they get passed on a house that they don't have to pay a mortgage on. No rent.
All they're responsible for is the taxes.
And think about the leg up that gives them.
Exactly. That's why you have to work on.
And you, because you know what? Once you pay your house off, guess what? Now you ain't got no rent. If you're just paying rent, then for the rest of your life, you're going to pay rent. You're never going to stop paying rent.
Nope.
But you pay a house off, you're done paying rent.
Yep. And all you had to worry about is your taxes. And hey, if you was paying a house note for however many years, just take a couple of house notes and act like you still paying it. Just put it up and pay your taxes. Don't worry about it.
And that's another conversation. People inheriting homes and not paying the taxes on the houses they inherit.
Those are the houses I want to buy and give to other people that need to be homeowners.
Well, it's plenty of them.
Yeah.
Because that
all it is
just,
owing the taxes.
Okay, if your grandmother leaves you a house and your family a house, however you get the house, and you do not want it, you need to contact a realtor.
Yeah.
Do not just let it sit there. Do not let a tax lien go on it. Do not let Uncle Sam come get the house. Sell it, make the money, and walk away. I don't understand why, and we're talking about taxes on a $40,000 property, so we're talking about what?
A couple hundred.
A year?
Yeah, a few hundred a year.
Right.
Come on, y'all. These are assets. These are hard assets. We don't own anything. That's the problem. We do not own enough as black people. And homes, businesses, commercial property, apartments, farms, vacant land, all of that is ownership of real property.
Yeah.
Real estate. We need that.
Absolutely.
We need that.
And it's the best thing to have. You know what I'm saying? Because it's going to be there. It's a physical asset.
Yeah.
I mean, a car is nice, but a car only lasts for so long. And most of us don't have the kind of cars. I have a lot of friends that are like, man, this car, I'm going to keep it low miles and it's going to be worth like your friend that has like his old 71 Challenger that he bought when he was a kid and never got rid of it. Now it's worth $100,000.
Right.
Okay, that happens, but most of us don't buy those. Most of us buy the Beanie Baby cars that, you're like, man, this car's going to be worth something someday, and it ain't going to be worth nothing. No day. It ain't never going to be worth nothing.
As soon as you drive it off the lot, it depreciates. How much depending on...
So one thing I want to hit on real quick for anybody that's a veteran out there. Man, home ownership is so much easier financially for a veteran.
Yes.
And you don't have to be a retiree.
Yes.
If you just did your little 2 or 3 years in the Army or the Navy or whatever, you qualify for a VA loan.
I just had a client that closed on a VA loan. He came to the closing table with a check for $16.34.
There you go.
Because they pay for everything.
Loans, so here's the deal with a VA loan. VA loans are guaranteed by the Veterans Administration. So this is what it means. It means two things. It means, number one, it means you don't need mortgage insurance, right? Because it's a guaranteed loan. So that saves you a little bit of money. Two, it means you can get up to 100% financing, which means you don't have to really bring any money to the table at all. No down payment, which now after the crash, what's kind of average now? What, 10% minimum, 10 to 15% down payment?
No, there's some 3.5s.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
There's some down payment assistance programs where people are not really having to come to the table with a whole lot.
Yeah.
When I bought my first home, I just want y'all to know, I went through one of the online mortgage companies. I won't plug them because they're not paying me. But I went through them, and I didn't even know I qualified to buy a home. And they were like, "Yeah, you can do up to 200." I was like, 200,000? And they was like, "Yeah, you can do up to 200,000." I was like, "I know that's a whole lot. That's a whole lot of money now. Now what my payment gonna be at at 200,000, and I think it was like 14 or 15. I was like, oh no, that is way too much house for me now. Give me around 1. Give me around 80. And I think my first house was like 80 or 90, somewhere in there. But it was a 4-bedroom, 2 full baths. I had a big old backyard. It's a beautiful home. But I wasn't ready for it. I just got it because, it was cheaper to get that than it was to rent an apartment, because for the apartment, I needed $1,900 because I needed first month in deposit. And with the house, I had no money down. So that's how I bought my first house, and that's just how easy it was for me. Also, Tyreek, can they throw all 3 credit bureaus away? They are incorporated in and not ran by the FCRA. They regularly violate laws, and consumers don't know. I love this topic, empowering. Of course, Miss Giovanna. Now, I have a feeling I want to just throw away the whole government. Like, I want to throw away the Constitution. I want to throw away the Declaration of Independence. And, and it's because if we think about it and we're honest with ourselves, this country was built on and around racism. And we still have the same documents that this country was founded on that we are following. Like, they are fighting to protect the Constitution. That Constitution is what I want to say. We need a new one, because it's not written properly, and it was written way too long ago. And until we change the Constitution, they will forever be right in the argument that we're trying to change America. I want y'all to think about that.
And I always go, when she says this, I always go, yeah, but it makes me a little worried to know who's going to write the next one and who they're going to write it for. That's the only thing that worries me.
We're not doing it until 2024, where you're not paying attention. But that's when we do it.
I feel you.
When we got the Congress and the president that will actually do what's right. Yeah. And it's going to take 6 years. We've got to empty out who's in there. Maybe a few can stay. Maybe you can stay over, sleep over. Maybe somebody will bring you a pillow. But other than that, we're emptying out. We're going to be cleaning up, Washington. What was that Trump was supposed to do? Drain the swamp. Yeah, right. The swamp needs to be drained again. And that's what we're going to do. But they're going to take about 6 years, y'all.
So I want to hit a couple of facts, too, that I know a lot of guys who were talking about VA loans. A couple of things a lot of veterans don't know. Number one, when you get a VA loan, one thing it does do, you got a 3% funding fee, right? Is it still 3%? Yeah. So if you buy a $100,000 house, you could get a $100,000 house with no money down, but your loan's going to be for $103,000. That funding fee is what pays for the program and helps back up the loans and make sure, the banks get their money if somebody defaults, which actually the default rate on VA loans is fairly low. Second thing is, if you're a disabled veteran, you're exempt from that funding fee, which a lot of people don't know. If you have a VA disability rating, and I think it's 30% or more, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think you have to be at 50. I know at 50 you don't have to pay it. If you're a disabled veteran, you do not have to pay the funding fee. You still get the same VA loan, but you don't have to pay the funding fee. Wow. And a lot of people don't know that. It's one of them things that people don't know. And the last thing I kind of want to talk about a little bit is, I think we're all in agreement that home ownership is a benefit for a lot of people. But there are drawbacks. And I think we should maybe throw a couple of them out there. Yeah. Of course, the number one thing is it is your house, which means you are responsible, which means when things break, you got to pay for them. Mm-hmm. If the furnace breaks, there's no landlord to call. If the roof starts leaking, there's no landlord to call.
You better get you a home warranty.
All right,
home warranty.
Yeah, so here's the thing. Now, and there's a couple things. First of all, is home inspection, right?
Yes.
That is correct.
First thing is home inspection. And it normally, I'm thinking it's in the $300 to $500 range to get a decent, right?
Anywhere from $300 to $500.
Get a good home inspector. You can go online and, there's plenty of reviews and walk around. That home inspector will look at that house from the basement, from the sump pump to the tip of the chimney. And everything around there.
Man was trying to talk me out of get on away from around here. I'm trying to get this house.
We had a really good home inspector. He did a really good job for us. We'll certainly recommend him. Hit Tara up and I'm pretty sure I can figure out who it was and recommend the guy that we used. But it's very important to get that home inspection. It's very important to walk around with that person
and see what it is
and
that he
see
sees.
What he's doing
and
what
ask
he's
questions.
seeing and have him ask questions, have him explain to you what he's saying.
Yes.
and then you take that
I
home
make
inspection.
My clients do it.
Oh yeah,
I do.
you have to do a home
I
inspection.
tell you guys to show
Never.
up when your appointment is.
Yep.
And to be honest with you, I don't like to go with them because my clients do me like this. What does he mean? What does he mean?
Yeah.
We will sit down with the colored pictures and
Mm-hmm.
report when he's done. But I need you to actually talk to him. He has a lot to tell you about this house.
Especially if you're a
That I
first-time
won't know nothing
homeowner,
about.
because he's going to be able to tell you things. If he sees a problem, he's going to be able to tell you how to prevent that from happening. You might not even wind up buying this house, but you're going to learn a lot, and also he'll be able to tell you how you maintain a home, which is important. Then maybe you just go down Home Depot. They got a bunch of really good books on just home ownership and home maintenance and the things you should do, how important it is. Most of them, you'd be surprised how much of home ownership is water. Water will kill a house faster than anything. Gutters, roofs, drainage, keeping water away from the house when it rains, really important stuff. I tell people all the time, if you're going to buy a house, it's a very good idea. It's raining like hell out. Drive over to that house you're thinking about buying and see what the drainage is doing. Is the water sitting right up against the foundation, or is it draining nice off of the property? These are the little things that you learn. But okay, so home inspection, that's number one. Home warranty, but you got to be careful, because there are a lot of home warranty companies out there that you're going to pay them for a warranty and you ain't going to get no help if something breaks. Or they're going to have a whole
You
bunch of
find
little
a good
exclusions of
reputable
why.
one.
You got to find a
And-
reputable. You got to be careful with that. Yep.
You want a mortgage insurance if you have to, or if you're required to have mortgage insurance, if you can afford it, I recommend it, because if something happens to you, the last thing your kids need is a big old house payment. If you have mortgage insurance, it pays your mortgage off should you pass away, or have enough life insurance to be able to cover the cost of the mortgage, so that you are actually leaving your children an asset and not a liability. So, because for a kid, it's going to be a liability. Oh, I got a big bill to pay now. So you want to make sure you have enough things in place. Like if your job offers life insurance, don't take the minimum if they let you get more, because it's probably only $3 or $4 more out of your check, to make sure you have enough life insurance. But it's never going to be that cheap if you ain't got a job, is it, baby?
No.
Okay.
It's not.
So trust me, if you have a job that offers life insurance, take full advantage of it. I want to get us away from GoFundMe, because we felt like that's our insurance policies now. We can just set up a GoFundMe account, and if that was the case, I'd have one film these movies, because that's important too. But
Well, and here's the last thing that I say, that I would recommend, because the other disadvantage is there are unexpected. I mean, when you're renting, pretty much you pretty much know what you're going to have. You don't have to worry about the water heater breaking. Now, hopefully you figure that out. You get that home inspection, and if he tells you, look, this water heater's on its last leg, then you've got something to talk to the homeowner about, and they replace a water heater before you buy the house. It's not that uncommon. Believe me, I've sold many houses, and I've had many people do it and say they want this done, they want that. There's going to be a negotiation going back and forth. A good realtor is going to help you to get through that, and they're going to tell you what's really important, what's not, and you should really listen to them. And some of this stuff, if it's really important, you're going to get it done by the homeowner. But things are going to break. It's just a fact of life. Stoves are going to break. Washing machines are going to break. Water heaters are going to break. So what I always do, and what I've always felt people should do, and I've always told people to do, don't get the biggest house you can afford. Don't take it to the max. If I'm paying $1,000 or $1,050, for instance, let's say I'm paying $1,050 a month in rent, and I buy this house, and now my rent is $736. I got $300 a month. Take at least a couple hundred of that. Start taking that. Just look, it was already going out the door. Put it in a bank account. Get yourself a couple grand. You don't have to have a lot. Water heaters, these most household expenses, that are going to happen, assuming you did your homework before. A water heater or something like that, you might have a $1,500 or a $2,000 repair you got to do or something, but very rarely are you going to see a huge $10,000 or $20,000 problem you got to deal with.
Right.
You got $2,500 or $3,000 in the bank. Guess what? If you save yourself $300 a month by buying the house, how much can you have in the bank to get you through those little emergencies in a year?
$3,600.
There you go. You
That's
got
bad.
a little bit of money put aside because that's one of the disadvantages is there's nobody to call. You're gonna look around. Who's gonna fix my water? You gonna fix it. But so you got to prepare for that.
So don't let nobody tell you that the bank owns the home until you pay it off because they're not coming to fix that water
They're not
heater
coming
for
to
you.
fix it.
They
So
do not
you-
own
you
that
don't
home.
max yourself
You do.
out. You be conservative, and you open up a little bit of money, and you have a little bit of money saved up, and I just really believe you're just gonna be way better off in the long run.
And just keep on and just keep that.
You're gonna
If,
own something.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna be yours. Like yours. Like get off my property,
Investment.
yours. Now you can take like say you go with that method and you save the $3,600 at the end of 1 year, leave it there, but continue to save the $300, and at the end of the next year, pay off principal. Take that $3,600 and put it directly towards your principal.
Even one payment, you can do like they have a mortgage.
Yeah.
What's the word? Like calculators. It'll show you, first year what you pay in interest and what you pay in principal, and you can amortization schedule. There you go. And so a lot of them will let you put in there, okay, one extra payment a year. So if I was to give our mortgage company $736 extra in December every year, just one extra payment saves you, most of them the way they're set up, saves you 8 or 9 years of house payments by giving one extra payment a year for the first 20 years. Because what you're doing is you're paying that principal. And so now, automatically, when I give them $1,000 of principal, more of my next payment is going toward principal because I'm paying less interest.
Right.
Because my interest is based on, if it's a 4% loan, it's based 4% annualized, right, of what I owe. So if I got a $100,000 house this year, I just bought a $100,000 house, 4% interest. I'm paying $4,000 of interest this year.
Yeah.
Now I'm still paying my $730 whatever dollars, but guess what? Like 500 of that 700 is going toward interest, and 200 is going toward the house.
Right.
But when I get as it builds up, and if I accelerate it, then more and more is coming out, and it'd be crazy. It's like, wait a minute, I just saved literally 8 or 9 years. Do the math. 8 or 9 years of $700 a month house payments
With one payment.
with
a year.
one extra payment a year for 20 years. Guess what? You get a whole lot of money back for your dollar. There's no doubt about it.
I'm just saying.
Yep.
There's the only benefit we can identify with renting is you don't have to fix stuff. But if you rent in Louisville, then you probably still have to fix stuff
And
because
mobility.
the landlords ain't worth nothing.
The other thing is mobility. So, we're talking about like, oh, what are we going to do? If you have to move, once you're on a lease,
And
you know-
slumlords everywhere.
yeah. So
And some
mobility
of
is
them
one of the
travel.
advantages of renting. If you feel like you might be moving, that's another thing. It's like if you're going to move and you own a house, now it's a whole lot more, complexity.
Passive income, rented.
That's the other thing. Don't sell it. Just rent it. Now you're a landlord.
Right.
Let somebody else pay your mortgage
For you.
Yep.
Right. Because remember, like I said, you'll never find a house where you're renting it for less than they're paying for it. So Dave and I could rent the house for $1,050, the same amount we rented it out for, and guess what? We could still pocketing $300 and something, and we're dumping all the utilities on you. So when
But
that's
if you do
what-
that,
wonderful.
find what? A good
Property manager.
I'm telling you, don't do it yourself.
A good one, not
Yeah.
like the one that
And
had
I
the
think-
property that we moved in.
Yeah, most real estate agencies, I think now they have a property management piece, right? So you can usually
Yeah.
find a good property manager. They'll take a little cut. You're going to
It's
pay them a little
worth
bit every
it.
month, but it's worth it because
It's worth it.
they will do all of the work
Court
of
work if
making sure
necessary.
Drama.
they can do it. Could be soup to nuts, as they say, right? So they can they could be taking the money in from the renter and sending the money out to the mortgage company if necessary, and they can be arranging for you can make sure they have access to the money to do repairs. They can be arranging repairs, or they'll be going around and making sure that somebody's not tearing up your property, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of ways to go
You
about
need
it.
that. You need a good property manager. You do. I do not recommend to do it yourself. One, it's. Let's say you have great tenants. That's not the problem. It's
Right.
stuff happens
Yeah.
in the middle of the night. I don't want to hear.
And you don't know all
about
the
that.
rules.
You don't.
Right.
Because
Right. Don't.
you'll get yourself into trouble. We know of a landlord that is somewhere in the process of being in a little bit of trouble because they didn't follow the rules. If somebody gives you a security deposit, you can't go spend that and figure, well, if I got to give it back to you, that money's supposed to be held in escrow. That money's supposed to sit. There's all these rules when you rent to somebody, that you want to be real careful. You certainly don't want to let somebody move into your house on a handshake.
Cases, boy.
A lease is a legal document. You need somebody that knows what a lease is supposed to look like and make sure it protects you as well as it protects them and what you can and can't do. So.
Yeah, I'm definitely a fan of owning. I'm definitely a fan. There's nothing anybody can say about renting that's going to make me excited. It's a waste of money.
Do also know that a lot of people are under the misconception that if they have a down payment assistance or a VA loan or something where they are told they don't have to come to the table with anything, just know in the beginning there are two amounts for sure that you need to make sure you have in your checking account when you are ready to write an offer on a property. When you and I sit down and we're ready to write an offer, there's two things I need you to make sure you have. You need to have enough money in your account, A, for earnest deposit, okay? When we write an offer on a property, we need those other people, the sellers, to know we're serious. The only way they know, they don't care that this pre-approval, they want it. They want to see Joe Smith Mortgage Company or PNC Bank pre-approved you. However, they also want you to put some skin in the game. Okay? What that earnest deposit does is it says, Mr. Seller, I am serious. If I wake up in the morning and decide I don't want to do this, you can keep this. That's what that is.
Lies.
Okay? So,
Then what happened to you?
If an appraisal falls through, if
I got my
finances fall through, you are supposed to get your
from the next people.
Deposit.
Then one people held your house up for like a month and a half and got their deposit back, and he didn't even fight them.
Which house we talking about?
Okay, so what
Park
happened?
Duval.
Well, okay, so what happened?
Yeah.
When I built a house at Park Duval,
Okay.
I actually gave him my interest money, to the builder was $2,000.
Okay.
I'm not
Which is
talking
a
about
lot.
when you bought it. I'm talking about when you was trying to sell it. Them people that had the house tied
Oh,
up
there
for
was
a month
somebody
and a
that
half.
backed out of a contract and I
kept
didn't
their
keep the
deposit.
money. Okay, that's what you're
Yeah,
talking about.
he
when I
didn't even
sold
fight it. See,
Yeah.
You have?
see,
But there
I'm
are,
the-
but there are,
What happened?
honestly, I don't even remember what the specific case
Did
was.
the financing fall through?
I think it did.
It might have, and there's ways like if it's not their fault.
Okay, so back to
Right.
that. So your earnest deposit, if your financing falls through, your appraisal amount,
Yeah.
or there's loopholes that are.
I think
That
what
you'll get
happened to
your
them,
money
I
back.
think with them is
Where you
that
get
they
your
caused
earnest
their financing to fall through because the finance company was asking
there's
for
ways
stuff
that
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 they
happens.
wouldn't send
Yeah.
it to them, and
And if they don't get approved, then yes.
then
get
they
their
took
earnest
back their
deposit.
approval.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Yeah, they got their money back. And
Yeah.
so, it's certainly if you don't get the house through any fault of your own.
Right.
Like if I give you earnest money, right, and I intend on following through, but I can't follow through because of an external entity that says,
Right.
dude,
I can't
I'm not
lend you
lending you
any
this
money.
money, and I didn't
No.
know
Even
that
though
when I
we
gave him the
said
check.
we
It's
would.
like,
Give me my money
Yeah.
back, but I haven't been able to sell.
yeah,
so
the deal
just-
she was talking about, the builder, I was supposed to essentially, they didn't figure my $2,000 earnest money into at closing, so they really were supposed to write me a check back for my earnest money because it wasn't, if it had come out of the loan, it would be one thing, right? But
They didn't even take
my
it
loan
out.
covered the full price of the house, and it should have been the full price of the house minus $2,000 that I already given them, and they
Yes.
acknowledged that, but they didn't have a check. The mistake I made was I actually walked out of that office on a promise that I would get a check, and then it was a little hard to get my check. But Dave got his check. Because
Oh,
trust
yeah.
me, Dave had a very unpleasant conversation with the builder.
Oh, yeah.
And they were trying to sell all them houses. You probably
But-
remember when Park Duval was kind of at the end of its
Yeah.
deal. And it was like, dude, if you don't want me standing out front of your homes that you're still selling with a piece of paper to hand out to people, this is what this dude did to me. If you don't want me standing outside of the houses you're still trying to sell, informing people of what you did to me, you're going to give me my money.
I swear you are. I swear you will.
I got my money.
Yeah.
And the second check we need.
Second thing you need.
Home inspection. Dave just talked about that. I always push.
Yeah, and you got to pay for that.
Unless you're, let's say you're a contractor and you know foundation and roofing and you build homes. Now, I have investors that know a house backward and forward, and they look at me crazy every time I say, you sure you don't want to get a home inspection? But first home, second home, whatever, you need a home inspection. That check, that's going to be somewhere between $300 and $450 for a home inspection. So those two things. Now, as far as the loan officer or your financing goes, some lenders are asking for appraisal money and some are rolling it into the loan. So that's something you would have to talk to a loan officer about. However, those two checks, you've got to make sure you have in your account.
Yeah.
And you'll see other things in there. You know, the termite inspection, right? That's like mandatory. I know for a VA loan it is. You ain't got no choice. They're going to do a termite inspection.
Yeah. It's not mandatory.
You actually want to.
For anybody else.
If you inherit
VA
a
loans,
house, you
guys,
wanna
if
get
you do
one.
a VA, I'll tell you, VA loans, some people don't even like to do VA loans, I think, that are involved in the process of selling houses because they know the VA has very tight standards, especially on property condition.
Consider them Section 8.
So when they
Section
come
8
out and
is very
inspect it,
strict.
there's going to be safety things. Yeah, I mean, it's great for the homeowner, but there's things you're going to have to do. And they're going to say, look, you've got a set of 2 little steps going up to the kitchen in our house. It didn't have a railing on those 2 little steps. And they're like, we're not going to approve this loan until you put a railing in.
And
the
they was
homeowner
dead
had to put a
serious.
railing in. They were serious.
Window latches.
Yeah, all that
VA
kind of
is
stuff.
not
Radon, termite, I mean, all that stuff. They're going to make sure that you do. But that's only good for you.
Right. Right. It's for your benefit.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so, yeah.
Anybody have any questions? Did we ever get any home ownership
Well,
questions?
we did. You hit a lot of them. Like, they asked about the credit score. You touched on that. Yeah, they was talking about, can we throw the 3 credit bureaus away? We're going to throw the whole government away.
Anybody have any questions about home ownership? Now, as far as the loan goes,
I'm just seeing people that join, but it doesn't, not a lot of questions. But I just want people to know that there's nobody in this world that can do something you can't do. Now, you may be a man that wants to be a woman and you would never be able to give birth. But other than that, there's nobody in this world that can do something that you can't do. So if somebody's made you feel like you're not good enough or you just can't for whatever reason, I'm here to tell you they're wrong. And you can tell them to call me, and I'll tell them they're wrong. Because we haven't been told enough how great we are, and we haven't been told enough the things that we can do. So if you want to achieve it, you can, but it's up to you. Nothing comes to a sleeper but a dream. Is that what they say? So get up and get it done. Figure out what it is you want to do, but don't let nobody else tell you that you can't do something or take somebody else's word for their experience in something, like with the movie. How many times have we heard, oh, that movie was terrible, it was horrible, watched it and loved it? Find out for yourself. That's all I'm saying. So
And find the right people to help you.
The right
other
people.
thing I
Right
caution,
people to
find the
help
right
you.
people. One of the things that we saw came out of the last housing crash.
OMG.
There were a lot of black families that could afford 30-year fixed standard mortgages that got kind of pushed into, balloon mortgages, interest only, blah, 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 variable rates. And the irony of it is they were pushed into really a subprime mortgage, right? That's what they call it, right? A subprime mortgage. It's really kind of things that they were making for people who really couldn't qualify, right?
that should
Yeah.
They shouldn't have qualified.
Right.
But these people did qualify. And these people were in better shape than, they, and the thing is, they lost their houses because they got pushed into mortgages that
That they couldn't
when things went south,
And
all of a
interest
sudden it's
rates
like, holy
skyrocketed.
crap, and they could have been protected because they listened to the wrong people. And
Yeah.
short term, we talk about this all the time. Short term gain, long term pain. So you think short term, this is great. I only got to pay this many $100 for the first couple of years. But then and they were telling people, hey, and you can refi. I mean, look, this is just, this is
It's
great.
just for 2
Because you're only going to
years.
pay this little tiny payment for a couple of years. And then, before it balloons up to this rate, you're just going to refi. but they got caught at the wrong time and the crash hit and they couldn't refi. And they lost their house because they couldn't refi at any price.
And a lot of people lost their jobs. So how you
The
gonna
house was
refi
worth
without
less
a
than what
job?
they owed.
That's
Yeah.
what underwater means.
That's what underwater
Hear
means.
that.
Yes, and,
So,
it's
be
very
cautious.
very rare that happens with housing, where it depreciates in value. That's why they were saying for a long time after the crash, now's the time to go buy real estate because
Yeah.
it's dirt cheap. That's why
And look-
Donald Trump was like, I made a lot of money off that crash.
I'll tell you, I got caught
Sure,
in the
all
crash.
You got
Boys
property
did.
for the cheap.
I got caught
Absolutely.
bad. The crash killed me. I'll tell you straight up. I bought my house in Park Duval. It was a very nice house. And I had just retired from the Army, and I put a lot into that house. I upgraded everything. I mean, we upgraded the cabinets, and we upgraded the floors, and we upgraded the plumbing fixtures, and yada, yada, yada. I mean, we really, $190,000 is what I paid. And guess when I paid that? Summer of 2007. July of 2007. Look, if I'd have just waited 6 or 8 months, you know what I'm saying? That house that I bought $190 for, and I went and finished the basement and had it appraised, and my last appraisal was 203 before the crash hit, and it went all the way down to 119. Now I was still paying the same payment, and I never did default because I still had a good job. I was lucky enough to be in an industry where it didn't affect my job. But even when I finally did, it had only come back up to like 160 when I sold it. And I was on a 15-year loan, so I'd put a lot of money into it. You know what I'm saying? So it's not that you can't lose, but you know what? If this situation hadn't been when it hadn't been, then I'd still be in the house, and I might be closer to paying it off, and it really wouldn't hurt me if I hadn't had to sell.
Right.
So you can make it through. If you can make it and keep your house through a crash like that, it's not really going to hurt you.
Right. And
Because
you're
right
gonna
now,
have
those
to
houses
have
in
a
Park
place to
Duval are
live.
pretty much most of the way back to where they were.
And you're going to have a place to live.
Yeah.
So he could have either stayed in an apartment and walked away with no money, just
Yep.
lost $190,000 over the course
Yeah.
of 10 years of rent.
Yep.
Or he can sell and say, well, I spent what? You sold it for 160.
Sold it for 160.
$30,000, and how long did you? live
30,
there?
but you got to figure I spent the money to, finish the basement, and I was on a 15-year loan. So my equity in the house, I actually owed like 140 when I sold it for 160. I actually put like 50 into it. So, I had to pay the realtor when I sold it. I walked away with like $9,000 in my pocket. But hey, if I'd been renting, I wouldn't have walked away with anything in my
Wouldn't have
pocket.
walked away.
Nope.
But that's damn good, Dave, because
Yeah.
that came back up for you.
It came back from
Good
119. Yeah, it came back up to like 160. It'll come back.
Yeah. So anytime, unlike a car,
It's a
once
long-term
it
asset.
depreciates, you got to
It's
wait
like the stock
25
market.
years.
They tell you if you see the worst thing to do when the stock market, tumbles is sell.
No.
The best thing to do when the
Oh.
stock market tumbles is hold on to what you got because
Yep.
it's going to get back there.
Yep. And if you sell it, you might wind up owing. Because if you sell it for less than what you got it for, if you sell it and it's depreciated, then you're going to owe. So you have to hold on to it or cut a check.
Did we ever get any questions? No questions.
No question.
I wanted some home ownership questions. Where we at?
That's
on
okay
that?
because your name is Honey Crenshaw. Find her on my friends list. If you have home ownership questions, if you have any, like you think you may be ready to buy a home, I can give you who she worked for, her contact information because you just hit up on Facebook. She got you on your questions and she got you on your houses if you need one. She's going to tell you exactly what you need to do in order to be able to get that house. Now, I want to, we didn't hit all our topics today. We had a busy day, which is great, which means that next week is going to be even more fun. I also want to let Honey shout out her page, Singles of Louisville.
Aw.
Yes, honey.
Okay, so kind of a little bit of therapy for me. I have put together Singles in Louisville. It is a fun atmosphere for single people to have the opportunity to get to know each other through social media. Okay, so what I do is you're single, I put you out there, you join the group, and we're working on figuring out what we want to do. So far, the consensus is everybody wants to do a happy hour. So we're looking for a place to do a happy hour. Any bar owners, restaurant people, event space people, if you want us there, let me know. We'll come. It's Dutch Treat. I'm not picking up tabs. I'm not.
And also, let me just say, if you are not single, don't go in that group. It is not for married people. It is not for those in relationships. It's for those that are truly looking for a substantial relationship, something real that is tangible and not something fly by night. It is.
Right.
If you are not ready, it's fine. You can go in there and peek around, but don't be acting like you single if you're not quite single, or somebody gonna come and try to interrupt the date or anything like that. Because what I would like to do when she really gets it kicked off is have, maybe a little episode on this podcast where the date comes and I pay for their date and I come and I interview them and ask them how it went, and we do like a dating game thing. So definitely check out Singles of Louisville.
Singles in Louisville.
Singles in Louisville.
Yep. It's a Facebook page. Go there, click like. I need a lot of involvement. I've got a lot of baby boomers. I've got some Gen X, but I'm trying to understand, is Gen X and millennials, are you guys married off? What's going on? I see posts all the time about people being single and they're tired of not having somebody. And I said, you know what? I'm tired of seeing that. Let's spread some love in Louisville.
Right.
I've got more people. I've got people from Evansville, Lexington, Sellersburg, Cincinnati, all on this page. Most of them are from Louisville, but the other people are like, hey, where is everybody? What we doing? Get involved, get active. If you want to find love, let's find love.
Right.
I will help you. I'm not a matchmaker. I do have a job. But if I know somebody that matches well with you, hey, I'll drop them a little line. But the point of the Facebook page is for you to put your own self out there, for you to throw up a picture. Hey, I'm single. I'm, I don't know.
These is my attributes that I attribute to myself.
Whatever. So.
Yes. So definitely check out that page.
Singles in Louisville.
Singles in Louisville. Check out Miss Honey Crenshaw if you have more real estate questions or you think you may be ready to buy a house, because she will hook you up. Don't be checking out my husband. That's my husband. But definitely be checking for him on the show, because, again, anytime y'all need me to bring him on the Tuesday that he is not scheduled, let me know and I'll try to make it happen. I do want you guys to know that things are changing in my life, but right now everything is staying the same, and I don't have any announcements, but I might have some announcements the next time I come on here, so I would need y'all to tune in if I do, but
you need us to tune in regardless, right?
I need you to tune in regardless.
At least give them something.
Okay.
Tell them what's going on.
Okay, so my baby, it's Trump's America now, and he lost his job promptly, and he's been looking for employment, and it's looking like Detroit or Connecticut. And I'm scared for it to be Connecticut, but I must go where my husband goes. So that's what's out there now. We have some Louisville apps in right now. Ford, I'm channeling you. Hello, Ford. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Ford? Ford
got about 2 days to call.
Yeah, because they flying them up to Connecticut. Yeah. And I'm like, man, they flying you up. They send him a packet with the benefits. I'm like, what company tells you benefits before they make you an offer? This is crap. But you are going to have like 5 weeks of vacation. Look, it's like 11 holidays.
It's a good deal. So
it's a very good deal.
Yeah, in Connecticut?
It's
what part?
It's a shipbuilding job up there in Groton, Connecticut.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'll be close to New York, so I'm nervous and try not to think about it, but I definitely need y'all support throughout it.
Yes, you guys are gonna have a ball up there.
Like we've had so much time together the last few months. Like I really wanted it to be relaxing for the both of us, because I'm not gonna flex like, boy, you will find someplace to go that will pay you. I'm not worried about him not having a job, but we have really and truly enjoyed ourselves these last couple of months. And so I just felt like it was God's way of giving us that time, because we didn't want to do a honeymoon yet. We had bigger plans. We wanted to do debt reduction, and we did a lot of that last year. So we really set ourselves up for a damn layoff. But at the end of the day, everything's working out. I'm nervous, but I'm not nervous. I'm nervous over the new market, not so much the move. It's just me trying to do things and figure out what I can do from here, what I'm going to have to do from there. Is there even any demographic in Connecticut for me? You know, so I'm just praying that something happens in Louisville. I feel more comfortable with Michigan, but either way, that's my husband, so I'm going where he goes. You know, and it will be, of course, after school, let's say, where I actually make the move. But we might need you, honey. I don't know. We might.
Well, remember we talked about that,
Mm-hmm.
though.
Yeah.
Are we going to do investment property?
We may do.
We'd like to hold on to the house.
Yeah.
Right.
You know.
Right. And lease it out.
Yeah.
Right. As a passive income.
Yeah.
See, I'm not in it.
You said what?
The new 97 B.
Yeah.
It'll be at the crib.
See,
There you go.
the new looking.
Yeah, new location.
That's
New
right.
location.
Yeah, see, honey's my agent.
That's right. So I want to definitely thank Miss Honey and my husband, the other honey.
The real deal.
Chocolate chip honey dip. Can I get a scoop? Baby, take a ride in my coupe. You make me wanna. Okay. And you know I'm gonna. No, I'm just playing. Okay. So definitely, wait a minute. Give me 1 second. Definitely shout out to the Doe Girls. Definitely shout out to Miss Sherry Green. I want to thank each and every one of you that tuned in and shared this video. Again, the 10th share will get a gift card. And the first person to call me next week and tell me what the highest paid black female actress made and what year it was when she made the top 10. When was the last time a black female actress made the top 10 and what did she make? And tell me what the top actress made. And you'll get the other gift card. And I'm buying new gift cards this week. So the two I'm giving away today are Home Depot and Starbucks. Y'all need to let me know in the comments what gift cards y'all would like for me to grab. And I'm not grabbing Visa gift cards. We are buying.
Starbucks.
You like Starbucks? Too bad you couldn't win today. I'm giving away Starbucks. I'll get another one. It's fine.
I'm gone.
Well, you call next week. Look. You can call next week. Look,
Okay.
you can call next week with the highest paid female actress, and if you the one that calls, then you get the doggone gift card. I'm not going to tell you. You have to look it up. But, yeah, the last time a black female actress made the top 10, I want that number. And he's going to go ahead and play my Doe Girl music. But definitely if you have any questions or concerns, hit me up on the inbox. Hit me up on the page. Check me at the 502 Cafe with the Doe Girls album release. Hit me up for advertising $50, $20 specials that will end in a little bit over a week. So then it's doubling. I ain't playing with y'all. Okay? I want to thank y'all for tuning in. Hit me with the music. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Ice in the building.
Yo, we girl music. Yeah.
Look at the drop, look at the wheel, check out my swag. Look at the drip, drip, drip. Look at the drip, drip, drip. Look at the drip. Look at the drop, look at the wheel, check out my swag. Look at the drip, drip, drip. Look at the drip, drip, drip. Look at the drip.
I know I'm the shit, and you know it too. Keep these hoes in their feelings, cause they niggas choose. Don't let your buddies gas you up, I'ma blow your fuse. Might bust your nigga down if I'm in the mood. He gon' eat the cat, send him back to you. You can check my background, I've been making moves. They tell me slow it down, but I'm snap on cruise. I'm sleeping on your whole life, bitch, and I'm hitting snooze. I'm a dope girl, bitch. Copyright my swag, cause my swag on 10. I'm eating real good, you can tell I'm getting thick. I'm chasing this check, yeah, I'm tryna get rich, yeah.
Look at the drop, look at the wheel, check out my swag. Look at the drip, drip, drip. Look at the drip, drip, drip. Look at the drip, look at the drop, look at the wheel, check out my swag. Look at the drip, drip, drip. Look at the drip, drip, drip. Look at the drip. Look at my life, look at my goals, look at my team. Look at my cars, look at my home, look at my king. Look at my drive, look at my hope, no looking back. Look at Trub on the grizzly, looking like she bout to snap. Look at yourself, now look at us. That look on your face saying that you mad as fuck. Look at my fans, look at my dance, look at my shoes. With your looking ass, looking like you looking to lose. Look at the news, look at your family members, ho, they looking for you. No evidence, MPD looking for clues. I'm breaking the rules, breaking the law. Who can they call? I'm my own stunt double, baby. I do it all. Look at the truck, look at the wheel. Check out my swag. Look at the drip, drip, drip. Look at the drip, drip, drip. Look at the drip. Look at the truck. Look at the wheel. Check out my swag. Look at the drip, drip, drip.